Hello? Can people see us? I think I see it's happening. Hopefully people are out of ads. We want to say hi. Wow, we're all fitting on the stage so perfectly. That's actually amazing.
Wow.
Yay. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Ferality.
Hi, Ferality Somna. Yay! Some of you might recognize me from Friday. I'm jump scaring you again, but I'm not talking as much this time.
Player jump scare.
Player jump scare. Keeps happening. So for those who aren't familiar, this is a roundtable Q&A with some of the furry devs at VRChat. We're going to introduce everyone real quick, but before I do, I just want to remind people that we're taking questions in the Discord. So you need to go to discord.gg/ferality, go to the events Q&A channel, and find the developer roundtable channel to put your questions in there. Then I'll ask the questions to the developers on the team, and then we'll go through them. So let's go through introductions real quick. Let's start with Data Dazed.
Hey everyone, I'm Data Days. I am a data scientist at VRChat, and what a data scientist does is I look at the data, I help do things like experiments, I help plan analysis, and in general help inform a lot of the decisions that we make here at VRChat.
Hello, I'm Fervid. I'm a senior software engineer on the client, and I specialize in all the UI tech. So things like your main menu, the big one, or the quick menu, the one that sticks to your hand, or the action menu that controls your avatars and stuff like that. I also did a lot of work on the localization system, so if you want to play VRChat in a different language, I played a big part in that. And just recently, we finished up the Avatar Marketplace, and I was a big part of that too. So yeah, that's me.
We can't hear you, Phelan.
You're muted.
Oh, Phelan muted.
Uh-oh.
Dang it. There we go.
Hey, it happens to us too.
Okay.
Even us.
Hi, I'm Phelan. I'm a staff client engineer, and I lead performance efforts here at VRChat. Mostly performance optimizations, quality of life improvements, and a lot of shader enhancements lately. But yeah, that's me.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Ambiguous, or Ambi for short. I have a fairly unique engagement here in that I'm a volunteer guest services director here at Frality. So if I've seen you all, hello. And leading a team of over about 45 individuals. But I'm also a full-time VR chat employee working under our internal operations team. I've been here for about 3 years now, and my work anniversary was just this past Friday. So awesome. So I won't be talking about what I do specifically. I do want to mention that. I'd rather keep that ambiguous, and yes, pun is intended. There's a reason I chose my username. But I do my best to help answer any questions here today.
Cool. Hi, I'm Tiki. I'm a web engineer. So if you see anything on vrchat.com/home, I'm probably involved in some way. Try to make it useful as a way to find your friends and see what's on.
Hello, I'm Mark, also known as Mark Creator online. I work on many different things at VRChat as a client engineer, such as fan favorites like Personal Mirror and a bunch of other cool stuff. A lot of that falls under what we refer to at VRChat as the experience team, which is just a bunch of cool stuff that people get to use every day in the platform. I also work on various just safety systems, and just my fingers are in a lot of different pies. Very busy.
Nair.
Hello, everybody. I am Nair, and I am a furry, but I'm hiding my furry ears underneath this hood because I'm a very secretive, perhaps cultist person. I work very closely with Mark. We're on the same team, but I've also helped out the Frality team a little bit and hooking up the friend system to make that a bit better. I work on all sorts of stuff on the server side, and one of my most recent projects was the age verification system.
Hey, I'm Dustu. I'm a staff client engineer working on building VRChat's creator economy. As a world creator myself, it means a lot to be able to help creators support themselves with the economy system. And so many of our top creators come from the furry fandom, worlds, avatars, groups, events. Everybody knows so much of the best stuff in VRChat's made by furries. So huge shout out to all the furry creators at Frality this weekend, and thank you for making VRChat such a great place.
Awesome. Hello again, Frality. I'm On. I'm the lead for systems design, and I also sit mostly on the experience team. I do pretty much what that says on the tin, which is to kind of keep the systems of VRChat talking to each other and try to keep an eye on how all that works, making sure that things work better now and in the future. And I think my colleagues have already talked about the specific projects that we've released recently, which is really exciting.
Hello, I'm Squid. I'm a senior software engineer working on the client for the growth team. I'm working on VRChat for Android and VRChat for iOS. Previously, I worked on the website, did group stuff. If you guys experienced the downtime on the website and saw what the website used to look like, I was the one that made it not look like that. So I'm glad people got to see what it used to look like. That's what I do.
Hi, I'm Toby. I do QA, which means I keep everyone else here informed whether their stuff is working or not. And also write some internal tooling to make it easier for everyone else on my team to continue doing that too.
That's everyone. How exciting! And we even have a bonus Nair who wasn't on the photo.
Yeah.
So you got an extra dev.
No, he's
An
there.
extra
He's just
developer
human eyes cannot see.
For free. With the furry ears hidden.
For free.
All right, so we have a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to start off my team with some easy ones first, and then we'll get to some of the crazier questions. So one of the first questions I see here is, what made you decide to join the team? We can just go down the line.
Yeah. Well, I think that VRChat is my favorite data source. So, I get to nerd out about like something interesting. I get to kind of like dig around, play in the sand. I get to have so much fun just kind of learning more about VRChat and what it takes, and having the opportunity to do that. When I saw that opening on the careers page, I was like, oh, I think I can do this one. Okay, I'm going to go. And me and another friend who also is a dev here, we both applied at the same time, and we were just, waiting with bated breath, like, oh, I hope we get in. And we both did. I was very excited.
So when I was early on when I started playing VR games, I always thought they were kind of cool, but they were kind of tech demo-y, and I don't know, I can never really get into them. So like my brand new shiny Valve Index sat on the wall for like 6 months collecting dust, and then Eurofurence, way back in the day, did their virtual FurryCon, and I kind of jumped into it. And in there, I made some of my original friends, and that really hooked me in. Played for a couple of years, became a real enthusiast, and I went to college specifically for making video games in Unity. And one day I noticed they had a position open for client engineer, and I said, what the heck, I'll do it. I made a cheesy little video with my application saying who I was and what I worked on in VRChat. They liked it. They went through our old, terrible interview process. We're a lot faster now. It took like 6 months for me, but I made it, and I'm here.
Oh, mine was 7 months. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, making
Awesome. Hi. This is probably the most predestined career choice I could have made. I have a notebook from when I was, I think, 6 years old, full of little VR ideas. Back when it was, I think, a CRT that was strapped to your head. And I've also been a furry for, basically most of my life. I need to go find it. It's back in my old house.
That's awesome.
But yeah, and then, more recently, 2020, experimented a lot with it, ended up needing somewhere to hang out, ended up hanging out on this for a lot. And when I created my avatar, I couldn't find any good tools to, auto-optimize my avatar, get it onto the platform, get it onto Quest as well. So I helped develop y'all might know it, Cat Splendor plugin, and, spent a lot of time on that. And that was kind of my foot in the door once they had a client engineer opening. So yeah, been here since.
Awesome. For me, I've actually been here since 2018, January, and I've been experiencing VR right from the get-go, and just really being excited about the community and how it's being developed, seeing how everybody is unique and expressing themselves and creating their own avatars and so on and so forth. The possibilities here are boundless, endless, and so that's really kind of what got me into it. And I saw there was an opening a couple of years ago, well, 4 years ago at this point. Applied for it, went through the interview process. I had already been helping out Virality at that point in time, so I was well established within the community, and had some really good insight into everything and how it works. So that was kind of my intro into here. Like, this is something that I wanted to do as part of my career pathing and wanted to really expand on. So it's exciting for me every single day.
Yeah, for me, I have been a longtime furry. I got a VR headset during the pandemic, and I didn't really have a lot of fun with it until a friend dragged me into VR chat, and I got really hooked. I got really into all the really creative use of the technology that people were showing off on VR chat, and at one point, a friend showed me that there was a job opening, and I went for it, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I've been at VRChat for a really long time. I started playing in 2019. I feel like a lot of people here were players before they were employees, and they just kind of came into that. And I was an avid player for a long time, until 2022. And I was actually a full-time creator until that point. I was just making tools for making avatars and optimization, and those are still available. But I was just happily selling those. I never was specifically seeking out to come here to VR chat, but when the opportunity fell on my doorstep, I just had to jump on it because I love this platform so much. There's so much creativity. So many people have made a home for themselves here, and I feel so privileged that I'm able to contribute, make it a better place, make sure that it's sustainable, make sure that it's great for everybody, and do anything I can to make it great, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah, Polytool is a great tool, Mark.
Thank you.
I enjoy.
I wasn't going to call it out, but there you go.
It's great. So yeah, I've also been on VRChat for quite a while. I believe it was early 2019 that I joined initially, and I thought it's just an amazing place. There's so many communities, so many things going on, and that's really why I applied a few years later. I've traditionally worked in web development, and I've always wanted to get more into the game dev side. And as far as game dev goes, the VR industry is what I'm very passionate about. So like looking at the VR industry as a whole, I always felt that, you know, like VR chat is the coolest thing going on in VR. So like that's the first thing I applied for, and I actually got in. So yeah, it's kind of like a dream job for me.
Yeah, so I'm pretty similar to Mark. I got into VR chat as a creator. I made worlds. I made a world called Furry Karaoke a few years back. Maybe you've been. But that was such a great experience for me, very rewarding, that when the opportunity came along to help support my fellow creators by helping build the creator economy, it was just a perfect fit. So now I've been with the team for about 2 years.
Awesome. Let's see, I'm an internet old person, and this is relevant because if anyone is of similar age, you might recall a mud, or a muck actually, called Furry Muck. So I was a Furry Muck user around like 1993 or 1994, which is a text-based virtual world, and that kind of set my path for an interest in online communication, basically like how people socialize on the internet. And that sort of obsessed me a little bit in my head, and I kind of moved back and forth between engineering and design for many, many years. I was also an alpha tester for Second Life, for Linden Lab, and I worked for a bit for IBM Center for Social Software, where we studied kind of like the early days of social media and kind of how things were coming together. Okay, so fast forward, pandemic happened. A project that I was working on got forced from real life into virtual world. I was really a VR skeptic, honestly, but we were in alt space, and honestly, no shade on alt space, but I hated that experience. I was like, this is not this. I don't get this. I don't like this. But a friend of mine said, you have to come with me to VR chat. And so I logged in and I went to a club and I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And basically was hanging out. And then, I don't know, maybe a year in, I noticed that they were hiring. And I went to my partner and I said, this is either a really good idea or a really stupid idea. I'm really glad it was a good idea. Next week is my 3-year anniversary. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been VR obsessed for a very long time. Like, I think it was like, it really started when there was all like the whole Oculus Kickstarter thing. I was like looking up VR things every single day, just like get info, even when like info was sparse. By virtue of that, I eventually stumbled into VR chat, became a very early user, and saw like the power in a lot of like the body expression. As like a closeted trans person at the time, I saw like the power to like experiment and express and kind of invent my own character and body and learn how to be comfortable that way. I later on, over the pandemic, I was working on my own app, and I was poking an API endpoint too hard because I wanted the VR chat website as like an app. And somebody on the API team actually reached out to me because I left my Discord handle in my headers, and they poked me to apply for a position, and I did, and the job, and the rest is history.
I love that story.
Yeah, like many, did some VR chatting, during the lockdown times. And then about 2 years into that, about 2 years ago, they had a job opening with exactly what I was good at, or what was on my resume. So I applied, got the job, and here I am. It's really good. The commute's much better.
It's so hard. I have to like roll out of bed and like walk across.
And my commute's doubled. I moved my computer to the other room.
Same.
No, it's 20 feet.
I'm so sorry.
All right. I'm seeing a question that keeps coming up. There's an elephant in the room. People are asking, are you guys doing okay after last night?
We are. Client engineers are like, yeah, I was never just fine.
Noted here, none of the server engineers are here right now.
Right.
Probably all
Yes. Something happened.
Moment of appreciation for our server engineers who spent like 5 or 6 hours last night just hardcore going at it and got everything back on track.
I know. Scrolling through like, oh gosh, I hope they're okay.
On social
Watching
media,
the recording, we love you guys.
I love to push the false narrative of like there's just a single plug and I unplugged it and like I just needed to charge my iPad and that's why VR chat went down.
For 6 hours, yeah, exactly.
It was just that. It was that simple.
I was using one of the old iPhone 4 wall words.
And for anyone who's curious, it was an upstream provider issue. This happens sometimes. We're trying to put protections in place so that this doesn't happen again, but that might not happen for a couple months. I know it's kind of frustrating. So we really appreciate that everyone's been so patient with us. So thank you again. Another question. Are there any features that got added to VR chat that stem from a furry specific need? This goes to anyone on the panel who might have something.
Head chop.
Phelan has one. Head chop. Yeah.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm a performance engineer. I mostly work on performance. And one of the things we did was optimize constraints to not be copied over from your main avatar to the version of your avatar we create for your first person view, so your head's not in your way. And it worked. It made things faster. And then just a massive influx of Therians and people who are upset because the hack they used to make it work, actually they wanted first person view stopped working, so we kind of jumped in to put that back over the holidays, and then it was wait, we had a jam for this a while ago, so we just sort of put that in the pipeline.
The pipeline.
Wasn't
I have one as well. Oh, go on.
yeah. I was gonna say, wasn't Stickers furry inspired as well?
I think it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At least somewhat.
It was at least
Because of
some
the
The person
stickers.
who worked on that is not here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I remember I introduced a lot of the furry sticker packs from Telegram as an example to our early design team on that. So yes.
Hmm. Yeah, the one that stands out to me is I added the ZXX no linguistic content because everyone kept making animal noises at me, and I was like, well, clearly this is the language that you speak, so there you go. That one's a furry one, and also for the mutes out there, but
Yeah. I'd say there's also just we all know this, right? But furry creators really push the boundaries, and so a great deal of things I don't know if we'd trace it directly to be this is a furry feature, but tons of stuff related to avatars, optimization. Kind of you name it for creator type stuff, especially again around personal identity. We have ears, we got tails, we got other appendages. All this stuff is we've done a lot of work that sort of has been driven by that kind of need.
Shout out to the tar community, who is our number one constraint debugging side of things.
I was kind of gonna say, looking into a lot of I'm thinking back on a lot of the things I've worked on, and I feel the furry community is always kind of in consideration in some way. I was even thinking to groups, virality is kind of driven by a lot of the group's features, and while it may have not been solely for something like virality, that was a huge consideration during a lot of the development and thinking about that feature and how you can host things like virality in it, with virality as a thing we were thinking about.
There's only so much you can do when you're a UI programmer, but if you're a VRChat Plus subscriber and you click on VRCat on your menu 5 times, he'll say a little random phrase, and one of those phrases is, "I'm friends with a tiger. I'm a tiger." I made him say that. I'm pretty decent, right? Close enough, close enough. Yeah.
All right. Here's a. Oh, go ahead.
I was
Keep
just
going.
going to say on the server side, there are some tweaks that I've gone back and forth with the virality team that are specific for virality. So those are certainly, virality or furry specific features.
All right. I'm just trying to be mindful of time. We're already half an hour in. Oh my God. Here's one for everyone, so we're going to have to go down the line again. But how do you as a team or individually face adversities and unexpected challenges physically, mentally, emotionally, and I guess trying to resolve the adversity of it all? Examples of such adversity are the partial outage from last night.
That's a softball question. No. No, that's a good question.
I'm trying to
There's a
think
lot
about.
there.
I'm trying to parse the question to answer it. I may do a pass and come back at the end to get a better sense of it. But I think I need a second to think about it. Sorry for that.
I think a lot of
Punch
it
your
is
coworkers
just
physical.
I think a lot of ability to survive things like that is the fact that the community is so loving and caring in general. There are some people who are mean, but try not to be that. The vast majority of people are just really, really nice and really, really kind. And the stuff that you all do in this platform makes it all worth it. I think that's the biggest one that comes to mind.
What Tiki said.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go.
Just genuinely, I love you guys, and I know that any place of upset comes from because you care. So, yeah.
I'd like to extend Fervid's note in saying that I think there's a reason why our meeting world's shaped like a fight pit.
We're always ready.
2 people trying to speak at the same time to duke it out.
That's actually how we choose what features to ship, yeah. They have to, VR fight,
I want to echo
but
this sentiment because they'll
yeah.
say like people ask me, they're like, do you get sick of being in VRChat? Like you work on this all the time, and actually it's the complete opposite. Like I sometimes need to remind myself to log in because as soon as I do, I'm like, this is worth it. I'm not on DevOps, so I don't have that. So I'm not dealing with the outages. That's a whole other thing. but really, like this community makes this worthwhile. Like it's an amazing place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a frame that I really like is that we are quite unique in that VRChat is both our third and second place. For most people, they make their home here, but we get to both work and play here, which can be challenging.
First, if you sleep here.
Yeah, a lot of people sleep here too. Exactly. But yeah. Just sectioning that out can be challenging, but I think it's actually a really great gift as well to being able to participate as well as like drive change for the better and for all of you.
Mm-hmm. I think like a way that I try to frame it, and being a data person, I'm like the one that's kind of reporting on a lot of things, how it does. And so there can be a lot of heated emotions, both like internally, externally, like why did number go up? Why did number go down? What's going on? The way that I try to think about it is, all information is valuable in some way. If there's adversity coming at me, what are the pain points that people are feeling? If there's what are the reasons behind like what's going on, trying to like find the source of information, find the source of truth. And I think like focusing on what the truth of a situation is the way that I try to go about it. And to also just in general, I think you have to keep a level head with data because there's so much that can fluctuate. There's so much seasonality, and what seasonality is, it's like, oh yeah, there's like a number on Tuesday and then there's a number on Saturday, and those are not going to be the same thing. Things change over time, and like trying to focus on that and not react super strongly to what one like small moment in time is telling me, and try to look at the bigger picture is I think how I try to tackle those things.
All right, another question. Seeing behind the scenes how it works, does it feel like VRChat has lost its magic for you, or is it the opposite? I think An kind of answered this already, but happy to hear everyone else's take on this.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement that it hasn't lost its magic. That's why we're here. That's why we're even talking here at the Ferality, Samna panel here. It's if anything for me personally, it's more magical every single day that I'm here. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
There's a weird sensation where, like, people say, like, oh, I got to be careful making your hobby your job, right? Because, you might risk killing your hobby. And when I joined, I kind of felt like that, like, is this going to ruin VRChat for me? But what's weird is, like, my brain totally separates playing VRChat and working on VRChat in, like, two completely different buckets. So when I'm playing VRChat, like, it's great. When I'm working on VRChat, that's, like, an entirely different mental context. I think it's the Unity editor that does that. Maybe I dislike Unity, but playing VRChat is great.
Yeah, the beige frame of suffering does that to you, yeah.
I think I was gonna extend the idea of surprises and all that, saying that that is one thing that we kind of do lose is there are no more surprises because we are making the surprises. So that's always different. When we used to have dev updates a lot and things would be announced, it feels different in that we are now the ones announcing. So it's more the excitement of how other people react to those things. It's been a very interesting swap in dynamic that's enjoyable in its own different way.
Yeah, and to that, I like knowing things and knowing all the cool stuff that's happening. It's more exciting than if I didn't. A lot of cool stuff.
And I always like to say, y'all make VRChat and we help, and there's still a lot of surprise. I didn't know this was going to happen. This is amazing, and there's just more and more of that every year. Just keep doing what you do.
I think one last thing just to say before I wrap it out, just because I think it's a very funny story. This dev update a long time ago, they announced groups. I remember being in that in an instance as a user watching that dev update, being like, whoa, groups is going to be great. Can't wait for that feature. I get the job. I come in first day. They slide me a bunch of diagrams across the table, and they're like, groups, you're doing it. I was okay.
All right, I have a question for Data Days specifically. Data is always interesting to look at when you have all of it compiled in one place. What is the most interesting piece of data that interests you, and the most interesting one in terms of how it affects VR chat as a whole?
Yeah, I think the thing that interests me the most is the oh man, I really enjoy looking at avatar data. I'm like more of an avatar creator type. So personally, like one of the data sources I helped build out was like getting when we started doing server-side scans, getting those and trying to understand, okay, like what is the relationship between performance and FPS? Do we need new limits? Do we need what is the sense of all the avatars that are uploaded at scale? What does that look like? And I find that stuff really interesting, and I like that I'm able to inform some of the performance decisions. And I think kind of going into performance, like working alongside Phelan, was one of the things that I had noticed when I first started here was, I was analyzing some reviews, and I was like, wow, all these reviews keep complaining about performance on VR chat and how they're crashing all the time. And we didn't have that much data when I first started about it. We didn't have a good sense for like, what's the FPS, what's the crashing, what is, like, how many avatars do people see? I think that was even before we had a lot of the culling stuff. And forming the performance team and initiative to really focus on, this is this number that we're trying to make better, and can we make changes that drive that improvement, and like seeing that affect VR chat as a whole. And I think like that's one of the things that drives the goodness of VR chat. So as like a whole, what I think would be a metric for VR chat is like, what are the things that make VR chat a good experience for people? How do I explain that to people who, can just like look at a chart and understand, okay, are things looking good, are things looking bad? Like that's the kind of thing that I try to explain and try to convey with data.
Yeah, I think for sure the most personally interesting stat is when we found it was like, I don't know, 85% of Quest sessions crashing, and then we slowly got it to a fraction of a percent.
Yeah.
Good job, performance team.
Yeah.
All right, I have a question that you'll have to think about because we can't spoil it for people. But here we go. Is there any kind of sneak peek of systems that you plan to use or create in VR chat, or is there a major update that you're excited for?
The next one, the one after that.
Next update.
I mean, we've kind of poked at it a little bit. Something another person working with me, John, who's not here right now, is working on the avatar optimizer. And basically, the eventual intent is you upload your avatar to PC, and then it just sort of gets auto-optimized and also stuck on Quest, and you don't have to do any work, or you have to do minimal work at most. And I'm quite excited for that.
I'm actually worried about that one because
I wasn't laughing
it's
at
a
you.
culture.
I saw Tupper in the chat who says the correct answer is lol. There are so many good answers and no one can say a thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's true.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Phelan's also not noting that the avatar optimizer represents like a cultural victory condition, given the way that everything started for her. So.
I can't give specifics, but it does seem like for the second half, we're going to start ramping up kind of more time investment on social features. So I'm looking forward to working on that. What those are exactly, I can't say because Tupper will be mad at me.
Yeah, there's to build on that a little bit. There's a lot of cool stuff coming in relation to social and maybe even groups, maybe even sooner than you may think. But you have to wait on that one to find out more.
You'll just have to find out, basically. Here's
when
a
we
question
sign in,
for everyone.
We all get a little floating like Tupper in the corner of our UI, and that's a permanent staff feature.
Yeah.
Our portable Tuppers. All right, here's one for everyone. What is your favorite furry species to come out of VR chat, and why? Let's start from Toby and then work our way back to Data Days, so it's fair.
Yes, so I'm actually the worst person. This is pretty recent. I was an anime guy this time last year. I don't know which ones are VR chat or not. but they're all really good.
Oh man.
I don't know. I don't know that I'm necessarily a furry species, but I like all of like the really creepy, cool shark avatars. I'm also just like, I don't know. I like my character and my species that I've invented is like very furry adjacent. But I don't know. I like all the very creative like takes on sharks and spiders and weird mishmash species. I don't know.
This one is hard. I'll just say one thing that I like about VR chat species is that there's a lot of like sort of vaguely canid bases or vaguely feline bases or vaguely they can be all the different things, and it's like a thing that VR chat does that I haven't seen as much on other platforms. And it might just be because of the way that people like to reskin things, but I find that really cool. I think it's really neat.
Yeah, you can just paint on a shark and turn it into a dog. It's magic.
Well, people do. Yeah, no, people do that too. Is the thing, right? Like they actually do it. I also shout out to the Loudest K because this is really cool. I just found this out recently, and I'm really, really digging it. So.
I might be biased, but I'll have to say the Freakhounds. I'm biased because Gwar-Deth, the Freakhound creator, also made my avatar as well as Furvid's. He's a fantastic guy and he does great work. And if you like the Freakhound, you can also buy the Freakhound Plus on Avatar Marketplace right now. I'm not a shill.
I also end my sentences that way.
I know all of the furry species. I know all of them. I am not an anime boy. That's not true. Actually, I have a protogen form that was made by a very special shadowy friend. I'm just I have my badge here, so I need to be wearing this right now. But yeah, the protogens are pretty cool.
Really gonna make me choose. They're all so cool, but if I had to pick one just right this moment that I really love, just because of its historical context, it has to be the Shibas, because those were around like the 2019, 2020s when I came on, and they were like these. It was just such a chaotic and fun, creative community, and I really loved that, and that's what pulled me in. So I still have a warm place in my heart for those. I don't think I have a good answer. There are so many good creatures. I just love seeing people, play around with things, hybridize whatever. I don't know. I really enjoy people who play around with merging sort of technology. So I always love seeing synths. Shout out synth friends, and like protogens and that kind of thing. They're always good fun.
So I have a two-part answer here. One is a love-hate relationship with this avatar, and it's the Uganda Knuckles, right? I absolutely hate it, but I love it for what it was. That's what got me into VR chat in the first place. And I know it didn't originate in VR chat, but it was created in VR chat and really kind of solidified everything. Now, the actual avatars that really I enjoy were the Nanachi avatars, which again wasn't really created here in VR chat, but I love seeing everybody jump on those models and just customize them, make them their own, and everybody had a different one. And again, this is dating me a little bit, way back in like 2018, 2019, but yeah, it was just so really awesome to see the creativity that everybody had.
Apologize. I'd like to update my answer to the brush avatar. Being
That's a species, yeah.
PTSD.
Is it real?
Oh no.
Hairbrush.
It's a hairbrush.
I think I think On was sharing with me at one point. It's not really a VR chat original, but protogens. I think what was it the first science people were sharing with you at one point that like less than 1% of all people coming in to furry who are not on VR are protogens, but like 20% of VR chatters. So you could almost say it's a VR chat original. Like that, the prevalence here is like here.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, I might be
And they
biased.
literally eat your
I
VRAM.
love big cats, but I really got to give a shout out to all the VR chat big lizards like dragons and such. I love VR chat dragons. Yeah, I see some wings flying up in the background. Where are my lizards at?
Oh my gosh, yes. Dragon enthusiast. I'm wearing an Otteroo. Otteroo's probably my favorite of the Otteroos are probably one of my favorite. Is it a kangaroo? Is it an otter? We don't know. But look at this tail. Look at these ears. I really enjoy this base, and I enjoy that this base has like a lot of lore behind it and the characters. And And then I think my other one that I've seen in this virality, and apologies if I forgot the name of it. It's like Chlorokit. It's the one that has the little plant, the little mushroom sticking out, and they have like the little wings. I do really like those ones a lot.
I think first day, so like twice a week we have these like little get together in VR chat and hang out meetups. So like on my first day, one of the first things I did was hop into that and talk with people for a little bit. And like within an hour of starting my job here, I had a very weird decision to make, which is that someone came up to me in like an otter character, and like my instinct was to like just you know what you do, but like I was like, snap decision: can you pet your coworkers? Answer: sometimes.
Yeah, it depends.
Ask before petting.
Maximum 4 head pets per day.
All right.
Ideal
Another
workplace.
question. Is there anything that players have made that blew your minds? We're going to start with Toby again.
I really like the Library of Babel world. I also really like finding like the really like kind of esoteric canning reports we get and finding the text for them in the Babel world. That's a pretty good one. It didn't work on iOS beta. VR chat, please fix my long arms. All of this and more can be found in the Library of Babel. I don't quite understand how it works, but it's an achievement, that's for sure.
I think just because it was like the first world to really like blow me away, and it still kind of is my favorite VR chat world to go to even now, and that is Olympia Nights by Dr. Morrow. Just like the grand scale of it, like Dr. Morrow has made some like amazing stuff since then, such as Organism and Epilogue and all that. But like what I love about Urbis specifically is, or what I love about Olympia Nights specifically is how just open it is. Like you just get in, you can go anywhere, and it's just this really weird feeling that I hadn't experienced in VR chat up until that point.
Almost everything honestly blows my mind when I come here. I'm like, you did what? Right? Like, but yeah, definitely the Organism trilogy is an absolute favorite of mine. I kind of go there regularly and just like walk around. Dunes, the concrete world, that actually I had a Keanu moment where I was just kind of walking around looking at the creature and going, whoa. It's fantastic. I love that. It's more of a performance, I guess. But yeah, no, everything that you guys make is incredible. Like, seriously.
I'm gonna keep the Dr. Morrow train going and say Ritual is the biggest, most mind-blowing world I've ever been in. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just full of these massive spaces with insane visuals. Highly recommend it. Ritual, Dr. Morrow. 100%.
Yep, also a fan. I am a world hopper, most certainly. One thing that always blows my mind is Ferality. I attend every event, and the worlds here are it's breathtaking. I'm also a really big fan of escape rooms. I love every escape room I play on VR chat. Pop Escape was my favorite, but please make more escape rooms. I want to do all of them.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to second Ferality. I know it's the easy answer, but it's actually the correct answer for me because it's like such a cultural moment every year, and I love it so much. And it feels like an actual game studio coming together to put this on for everybody for just a weekend, and then they go into hiding for a whole year. So it's like such an amazing moment, and then to see everything and to experience it with everybody and talk about it, it's just my favorite. So yes, Ferality every time. I think I have kind of two answers. I have one that's more a hangout and one that's more an experience. In terms of hanging out, we keep going back to the Pact. If you're familiar, it's this very like surrealist, kind of control-inspired furry world. The crew who made it do a whole bunch of other stuff. It's all fantastic, but we keep going back to that one because it's just so good. In terms of like an experience, I think I have a left field answer. I really like Project Summer Flare. I think it's a little older now, but it's like one of my favorite sort of spins on. Yeah, okay, I'm hearing some murmurs. It's really cool. It's really creative. It makes really interesting use of VR chat as a platform in some interesting ways that I haven't really seen elsewhere. Check it out.
I'm gonna second that. Actually, I was originally gonna be agreeing with everybody else. Me like Dr. Amaro's world's like I'm an experienced person. I love to go in, experience everything. So Ferality, this is amazing to me. I would just love to sit here and enjoy it for months. Yes, I said months. But yeah, Project Summer Flare is amazing. If you haven't experienced it, I'm not gonna spoil anything. Would definitely recommend going through it. It is an exploration world, and just go experience it. It's not what you think when you first zone in. So yeah.
I think I've always been rather attached to the kind of mind-bendy worlds, and I think one of the first and most immediate experiences you get is with Thad's Recursive Room.
Oh, that was mine.
Just
Okay.
yeah, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the first 5 minutes you spend in there is just a completely different experience.
For me,
Talk
it's
slow,
gonna be the
Fervid.
biggest. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. For me, it's gonna be like the biggest shout out to all the Pact crew. So like Heiko and Deco Wolf and Fraxel and Andy Heat, everyone that's part of the Pact crew. If you've played the Pact, which was mentioned before, that's like the entry point into this whole universe of worlds that they've created. So if you've been to like Lazy Lizard or Hokel Knights, if you wanted to see this huge city where you can drive around in VR chat, like they make mind-blowing stuff all the time, and they're dear friends of mine.
They go crazy.
I would say I really enjoy, other than the recursive rooms, I would say I really enjoy like the dancing worlds where it's like you have the video and you all do the dance, but it actually tracks your movement and, you know, it gives you a score based on how well you're keeping up to the dances. I really like that one for just bringing people in who, you know, the types of people who always played Just Dance or whatever with their friends in the living room. I think it's a really good opportunity to bring people in, and it's one that I always like to go to for working up a sweat and like exercising with people, and it's interactive and fun, and it flows really well.
I was just saying, we're short on time, but I also just want to quickly say, just because I feel like I said my answer a little on the spot, I want to say Super VR Ball solely because I was really into the whole speedrunning thing of that when that came out, and one of my best friends in VR chat here is a person that I wouldn't have met without it. We had our shared special interest of funny monkey ball games.
Question specifically for Nair. Can we see Nair's protogen?
Oh god.
Yes. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay. I've got it favorited somewhere. Let me get it.
Well, I have it favorited too if you need it.
I have it favorited too. If you need it.
Are we all turning into protogens?
We're all
Are you all going to be Nair's protogen?
If you do not have a persona, one will be assigned to you.
That reference hit me.
Which favorite list do I have it on? Maybe I'll clone it off of one of y'all.
I don't want to steal your thunder.
I think worlds-wise, one of the most interesting experiences, like regular experiences I've seen, is the Mighty Gym. Just because, you know, almost every like hangout you see, it's like mostly furries or mostly anime or mostly like human or cartoon or robots. Mighty Gym is like one section of everyone.
Thank you.
It's really cool. And you can see them all passed out on the floor after a really hard workout.
Oh, God.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
We need a close up on that face. Oh my god. So...
Yes, it's got different screens. I can shut down.
Oh no. Here's a general one. How many furries are at VR chat?
We have a number for this somewhere.
I think we have a percent.
Yeah.
We could probably
30%.
It's
30%.
Is it 30?
Yeah, approximately 30%.
Yeah,
Yep.
30%.
Yeah.
Quote,
30% and
1/3
growing, although not
approximately of
necessarily
VR chat.
hiring. Like we constantly, like we often hire in people, like frequently we hire from the community, but often we hire in people from outside of the community. And several of those new hires will come in and be like, I really like the furry community. I've been thinking about, like, I kind of think I like cats a lot. I might just, you know.
We've converted a few people over. Yeah, it definitely happens.
Yeah,
on the team
we
that is
haven't
probably
converted
watching.
anyone at all.
I have a friend on the team who's probably watching this stream right now in another instance wearing a furry avatar who is supposedly not a furry. You know who you are.
In such cases.
But
Definitely not a
any
furry. I believe you. Definitely not.
I saw the question come up in chat, and I think it's like actually worth answering. How do we know how many? Like, what the percentage is? We have a furry channel. Would you believe it, in the Slack? And it's
true.
how many people are in the general channel versus how many are in the furry
Yes.
channel.
By the way,
That's how we know.
present as like this is us at work. Like we don't use our real
Yes.
names.
Work
Like
clothes.
I come
This
in
is
as
us.
a tiger. I am not kidding you. That's actually how it is.
we have expensed lunches at furry cons just to meet up and catch up on work.
I
Just to
did
be
my
clear, this
interviews
is-
in VR chat as a furry avatar. I think several of us have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to be clear, this is the percentage of people who work at VR chat who are furries, not all of the
Correct.
VR
Yes.
chat population.
Mm. Right,
I don't know
right,
if we
right,
know
right.
that. Do we, Data?
The way that we would know that is if people could like tag
Activated.
themselves as furry or join furry groups. If there was a way to know if an avatar that was uploaded was a furry one, and if people use that, I think there's a couple of gaps there that keep us from knowing exactly what percent of the population is a furry. Like, did this person just save a protogen avatar? Are they actually a furry? Like, what is the threshold to being a furry? And so it's like we have bits and pieces of that info, but unless there's a tag on your profile that you check and say, "Hey, I'm a furry," that would be the clearest signal, maybe. But as of right now, we don't know that exactly. I know that there's been some user research that's been done at FurCons related to like surveying and like a census of the population. And while we don't know how many VR chatters are furries, we know how many furries are VR chatters. And I think that number was around a third as well.
Yeah.
I
Shout out to
remember correctly.
furscience.com, I think. But if you just Google Fur Science, they've
Yeah.
published all of their data online. So it's not specific to VR chat, but there's some in there, and yeah, you can extrapolate if you're careful.
Onboarding
All
survey.
right.
Have you ever meowed on accident?
All right, we have
That was a
less than 5
song?
minutes left. So I think this is going to be our last question, and I'm going to go from Data Days back to Toby. What inspired you to bring furry culture into VR chat in such a creative and immersive way, and how do you see the community evolving within the game over time?
Yeah, I would say I was a part of VR chat before I was a furry, so it's sort of like furry culture grew with me. And I think that the things that I see out of furries is there's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of a desire to find an identity and to present as that identity, and a lot of desire to find a community of people who are like you. And I think those are the things that I want to continue carrying forward into VR chat itself. Like, how do we support people who want to do those things? How do we support people finding their identities? And yeah, I would say that's kind of the summary of at least what I've learned since becoming a furry in VR chat, through VR chat. Those are definitely the things that I want to keep going past that torch.
Short and sweet. I just brought my genuine self. I always played as a furry avatar in VR chat, and when I was hired, I interviewed as myself, and I figured, like, you know, this is me, and if they don't like me and it doesn't work out, then hey, it wasn't meant to be. But they did like me, so just like that sort of authenticity and realizing that, you know, furries are really interesting people and they do cool stuff, and my hands are broken, and you know, that sort of thing. But yeah, I was just myself. I always endorsed this sort of like, you know, be genuine, bring your full self. Don't care what other people think, because we're cool.
Yeah, it's definitely an identity sandbox here, and you know, people come in first thing. Sometimes they, you know, never thought about their gender, never thought about, you know, the way they want to present themselves. Sometimes they want to change their voice or something, and then sometimes some people figure out that they want to be a little bit fluffier, and that's wonderful.
I think for me, I've been in the furry fandom for over 25 years at this point, and when I realized what VR chat had available and what you could do with it. It would just, for me, made sense to try and get to be part of this community again. Ferality gave me that opportunity. So I'm really hoping that I can continue on to further everything furry related, especially through Ferality in a virtual sense.
Yeah, I think VR chat is just the latest in a long line of methods of expression of various kinds that I think furries just happen to gravitate towards in a really interesting way. Like Ambi, I've been in the fandom a long time. I sort of cut my teeth on IRC and got to Second Life and eventually made it here. So it's just such an inspiring community, and it always gives me energy to keep trying to make this place better.
Yeah, when I first came to VR chat, I wouldn't really have referred to myself as a furry. I didn't identify with that. But just naturally, exploring the platform and meeting all the different people here, I just find the furries the most interesting and creative and inspiring people, and that's what really kept me in these circles. And I just love all of you guys for being so creative and expressive, and stay awesome, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that you have everything you need to do all those things.
I got involved with the furry community several years ago now, and I think that the community is just incredibly welcoming. It's an amazing community. Before I had a Protogen avatar, they were still super welcoming, and it's just been a lovely experience. I try to keep in touch with multiple furry groups and try to be a bit in tune with what they're experiencing and what their needs are, to try to keep that in my head so I could advocate for things that can help. There's all kinds of cool stuff in the works, and I hope that the furry community will get a kick out of it.
Man, for me, all of the coolest, most talented, interesting people in my life are furries I met in VR chat, and it's just that's all I have to say. That's all there is to it.
Boom. I think I sort of answered this in my intro, which is that my entire life, right, I've sort of been low level connected to the furry community. Only the last 3 years did I actually merge the two. It was always something that I did that wasn't related to work. But also looking backwards at that, I just can't say how significant it actually is, right? The furry, for me personally, my experience of furry as a queer support community and a community that upskills and takes care of each other, has been I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it's just it's really incredible. It's just this force, and we can use that too. Even looking at it, the models that we have for business. I'm not going to go on for too long, but I'll say one thing. A shout out to a colleague and friend of mine from the New Design Congress, which is an organization from Berlin, did a study on marketplaces, and specifically during the pandemic, and noted that sort of similarly skilled folks, if they were furry or not, kind of determined how well they did financially, simply because the community was these are my people and I need to take care of them. That energy is incredible. It's really, it's this vision of play and possibility for a different type of future online, that I think we should all mainline, whether you want a furry body or not. So.
I don't know how to follow that up. I guess, I don't know, for me, VR chat has really been a lot of figuring out my method of self-expression and prototyping a version of myself before really being able to express myself in the real life, in real life. But I'm hoping in the future, we release lots of fun, new, cool features for people to experiment with and continue to express and do stuff. I never thought when I joined that I'd look like this, but it just kind of happened. For people that know me, way back in the day, I was a laptop at one point, then a blue cat, and I did a lot of experimenting, and eventually I said, okay, yeah, sure, I'm a furry, even though now I don't necessarily have a very furred avatar. But I don't know, I love the self-expression and self-discovery that happens through VR chat.
Yeah, all I can really add is just keep making cool stuff, and we'll keep making cool stuff to help you make cool stuff, and then there'll be a lot of cool stuff. I like cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think we're over time. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
I will try to
Thanks for
answer
having us.
everything in Discord.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone.
Hooray! I didn't know I could hear the audience. That's crazy.